Hi, welcome back to Starbuck Saturday. First of all, I say this every week, and as soon as I don't say it, that'll be when the comments start pouring in. Geez, hide your face much? Well, I don't do it on purpose, but I am blind, so I can't look in the viewfinder or know how the camera would probably pick me up better if I would point it this way or that way. So, sorry, not sorry. I live in a sound world. Welcome to my world. This week, first of all, I'm trying something new. Instead of, I ordered my usual drink, but instead of getting it in one of these disposable cups, I brought my own mug, which I literally just got yesterday. We'll have to see how it works here. Not bad. I'm not necessarily mega environmentally conscious, but well, it comes down to this. A YouTuber that I am subscribed to has released merchandise, and one of the things that she has is mugs, and I was like, why not? I'll get some of that, or I'll get one of those. I'll get some of that. Yeah, right. I got one of her mugs, and I may well start using it for Starbucks Saturday. So, today I want to talk about how the mystery is finally solved after literally 30 years. What was the deal with that commercial? First of all, fun fact about me, I have, ever since I was a kid, I enjoyed watching TV and recording it on audio tape, and in particular, it wasn't even so much the TV shows that I'm not going to say it wasn't the TV shows that I'm interested in. I liked the TV shows too. But going back and looking now on YouTube, one of my favorite TV characters had his little bumpers on his when they went to commercials, and one of them, it turns out, was commercial alert, put the VCR on pause. I never said this to him, but if I was to talk to the TV as a kid, I would have said, I don't think so, Alf. This is when I'm going to record it just like I'm recording you, because the commercials are fun too. And I can't say that I really have that hobby today, because so many of the commercials these days are just, well, I could do a whole separate video about that. A lot of them don't even have voiceover anymore saying what it is that they're advertising. But this one, I never really understood this commercial. I mean, I understood the commercial campaign, and I understood the other two commercials. It was a Sudafed commercial campaign, and one said, "Poor Barbara, it's time to go to work, but she took a cold medicine that made her drowsy. If only she could go back and take Sudafed instead." You remember that? And then she walked backwards and kind of reversed, went back in time. Wish I could go back in time. She went back in time and she took Sudafed instead of whatever she took last time. And now she's not the least bit drowsy, feeling great. Yeah, let's go to work, baby. And in the second one that I did understand, I would not want to be this poor woman. The most important day in her life. She's marrying the man she loves. She comes down with a cold. She takes a cold medicine. She's ready to pass out at her own wedding. She looks exhausted. She is exhausted. And it was poor Laura. It's her wedding day, and she took a cold medicine that made her drowsy. And then the same idea. She went back in time and took Sudafed, the right medicine, according to the commercial, and the perfect day. This wedding's going to come out without a hitch. For her sake, I wish she could have gone back and taken Sudafed. I'm sad that she would have to remember her wedding day like that. But then there was the one sandwiched between Barbara and Laura. Now, with Barbara, the announcer pretty much made it make sense to me what the commercial was. And maybe a little explanation from my mother about the walking backwards. Walking backwards through time and going back and taking the right medicine. Same with Laura. Well, Laura, I think my mother had to do some explanation with Laura because I'm not sure. Or I might have picked up on the organ music, but she probably had to explain. Yeah, she's in her wedding dress. She's getting married, and she is tired. But then there was this other one. The announcer said, "Poor Phillups. She took a cold medicine that made her drowsy." I'm going, Phillups? What kind of name is Phillups? What kind of woman's name is Phillups? Or even man's name for that matter. You hear fill up as a man's name, but not Phillups. And my mother or somebody, I think it was either my mother or my grandparents, I think it was my mother, said, well, maybe someone who wrote maybe someone involved in writing the commercial made a typo or something, or wrote it wrong. Maybe they meant Phyllis. Well, a typo in the commercial script you'd think would have been corrected before the commercial was aired. You know, you'd think that it would be maybe in one of the outtakes that you never saw. Poor Phillups. She took a cold medicine. Cut! Phillups? Well, that's what it says. Well, I'll be darned. That's not what it's supposed to say. And then they would have corrected it before the commercial hit the air. I never really did understand that. And then I found that commercial on YouTube a couple of days ago. And this time, I called Ira. I talk about Ira every so often. I need to write an email to the customer, what is she? President of Customer Relations of Ira, and see if there's any way that I can feature them on my YouTube channel. I would love to just use them and record that session, but I've been informed that that's not allowed. There are possible exceptions made, but you have to go through this customer relations person to do that. So I need to do that. I just plain haven't done it yet. But anyway, Ira in case you haven't seen any of my other videos where I talked about Ira, Ira is a app that connects you with a trained person who knows how to explain things so that a blind person can get the most out of it. I mean, Ira, I'm not sure what exactly is involved in being trained to be an Ira agent, as they call them. Operator, assistant, they call them agents. But my understanding is it's a pretty rigorous training. Anyways, they either look through the camera in your phone or through a pair of smart glasses that has a camera on it to see what you see and explain it to you. So I called Ira. I said, I have you on my iPhone. I have YouTube playing on my iPod. I want you to describe this commercial to me. I was hoping that the description would make it make sense. Why would they call her Phillups? Well, the description itself didn't so much, but when I talked to the agent a little further, he understood, and he explained it to me, and now I understand. And actually, the scene was a workplace, a woman's office. The supervisor comes running in. Hurry up, Phillups, they're waiting for your report. And the announcer goes, oh, poor Phillups. She took a cold medicine. Meanwhile, the Ira agent is describing the scene. She's in her office. She's looking at her computer. She looks really sleepy. She's kind of going through papers, but looking like, oh, she's so exhausted. Now she's going back in time. She had taken a cold medicine, or she's looking at the cold medicine, putting it down, taking Sudafed. Oh yeah, that's what I'll do. She takes Sudafed. She's back in her office, looking perky, looking, on top of her game. Her boss is coming back in, and she's saying, "Yeah, let's go do this." And she perkily leaves with the supervisor, full of energy and ready to deliver her report. Okay, I'm going, okay, well, that makes perfect sense, but why in the world would they name that character Phillups? As it turns out, apparently back in the 80s, there were workplaces, because the agent said that she was dressed very formally. It was a very high-end looking office or company. But he said, yeah, I used to work for a place like that, and you're known by your last name. They don't call you my last name is not Victor's. I'm not going to give it out here, but suppose it was. If I worked for a place like that, they wouldn't call me Ann. They would call me Victor's, and all right, Victor's, you're up, or in this case, come on, Phillups, we need your report, or any last name known to man. That's what you're known for, is your last name, not your first name. I'm going, seriously? I mean, that just seems... Am I the only one that thinks that just seems disrespectful? To call someone by your last name, it's like... Really? Wow. When you hold this mug, this travel mug, it's not hot at all, but it's keeping this hot chocolate nice and hot. Definitely. The only quandary I have is how to... Well, maybe I'll be able to... I was going to say how to go down to the bank with this. I mean, I'm kind of afraid to put it in my purse because I'm afraid it would leak. Maybe it won't, but I'm afraid it would. I don't want to find out the hard way if it does. Hopefully I'll have time to finish this and then go. Anyways, Phillups. Her name was Phillups. Seriously? I mean, now that the work culture, I guess, was explained to me, I understand it. But thank God I don't work in a workplace like that, because I don't know that that would be the deal breaker. But if I did work in a place like that and then retired or was laid off or resigned or whatever happened that I don't work there anymore, that's one thing that I would not miss. Being told, okay, Victors, make sure you get that in the meeting minutes. Okay, Schroeder, I'll be sure to do that. And even that, I mean, what about the respect, and would the boss have been known as Schroeder? I mean, it sounds like it, but first of all, having some respect with what I'm trying to say is, I guess, if you're known by your last name, whatever happened to Miss Phillups, Miss Victors, Mr. Schroeder, Mrs. Edwards, have a little bit of respect. I suppose that was just the culture of that type of workplace, and I don't know if those types of workplaces still exist, but thank God I don't work at one, and thank God I never have, because like I said, if I ever did work at a place like that, when I left, that is one thing I would not miss, just being referred to as purely last name. Seriously? Anyway, I think I've made my point. Tiny update on my editing progress. As I told you in my last video, I have finally discovered the power of an editing program that I've actually had for years, but never actually bothered to sit down and learn until now. And it's amazing how I learned it in a weekend. Well, I didn't learn the whole thing, but I learned enough to actually edit files together or improve files. I have not yet mastered putting one file or an excerpt of a file at the end of another file, and I haven't mastered putting parts of files together. In other words, I'm not going to be able to stop a file, put a sound effect or a piece of music in, and then go on with the file. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I took my introduction and part of what would have been a file and tried to put them together. The first part of the file was supposed to be the introduction, but the introduction ended up being at the end, and I'm like, okay, that's not going to work. I just closed out of it and didn't save it and just ditched that file, but obviously I have some more to learn. In the meantime, I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. Please sign the Do Not Demonetize petition if you feel so moved, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.